There's the second part of the trucking video of what happened well, Terrell, but next to Dallas, okay? We're going to see what these people talking about. And I'm going to give you the honest truth of what's really going on. I can't tell you why, okay? I can't tell you why because of social media, but I would tell you, just like the last video, what I told you, I know for a fact. That's all I'm going to say, okay? That they really, really cracked down on it. They're not playing them games. It's very strict now, okay? So we're going to see what the news going to say about it, and then we're going to get into it and all that. All right, let's get into it. There's going to be part 2. All right?
Well, do you know who's transporting your mail? The I-Team found that sometimes not even the Postal Service knows. And when trucks like that are hauling mail and they crash, the deadly crash like the one we saw near Terrell, the U.S. Postal Service is not keeping track of it. Our I-Team's Brian New is back tonight with an investigation into a system with deadly gaps.
Sister, you is beautiful. You're a beautiful sister. They know who's hauling that mail. They know who's hauling it. At one time, they didn't know who was hauling it. Ever since this happened, they know who's hauling the mail. They got very strict on who can haul the mail and who can't. Let me be frank with y'all. Okay? You're not going to know who's hauling your mail, obviously. You ain't going to know. But they know. Let me tell you what they do. If you have 2 drivers, anything over 501 miles has to have 2 drivers in the truck. 501 miles, 1 driver can do it. But you have to have 2 drivers in the truck. Okay? They know exactly the load that you're picking up by a load number that they give you. Yeah. Where's it going? Blah, 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 blah. Both drivers have to show themselves. Some post offices might be a little bit lenient if they know the drivers and stuff like that because they know that they're not being fraudulent with it. And they know that company. They know. Because the post office is the one that gives you the slip and everything. They got a tracking. They scan everything. They take pictures of everything. So that's not true. It's not. I don't know why I did that. I'm not going to edit that out.
At inspection sites along highways across the country, big rigs are pulled over and checked.
Good morning, driver.
How you doing?
Good, sir, with the Texas Highway Patrol.
From the lights
Yeah, these are going to be discs.
to the brakes,
Okay, you can release.
from the driver's license
Is everything correct on your driver's license?
to the driver's logs.
Where are you headed to?
Inspectors make sure safety rules are followed. But the Florida-based trucking company Hope Trans LLC failed more than a third of its inspections in the past 2 years. That's well above the national average.
You heard the crash. It was a big boom.
And when one of its trucks caused the fatal crash near Terrell in June, it was the company's 4th injury-causing crash in a year. How do we know all this? It's all online on the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration's website.
Right. You can't blame the post office for it. You're trying to blame the post office like the post office has got their hand on something that they have no control over. They contracted it out. They put the faith in the contractor. The contractor put his faith out on when they contract to other people. Why didn't the Federal Motor Carrier shut them down? They should have been shut down. That's what they're not telling you. That's what they're not telling you. They were supposed to been shut them down, but they didn't. But you want to blame the contractor or you want to blame the post office, and it's not true. But I guess it makes good TV, I guess. You know what I mean? But you don't want to put blame where it belongs.
Anyone can see it. But is the U.S. Postal Service even looking?
The post office has no visibility on this, and their rules push all the responsibility to the broker.
Here's how it works. The Postal Service hires a carrier or broker to move mail. That broker can then subcontract the job to another trucking company. And that's where the oversight breaks down. A 2024 government audit found the Postal Service did not always know who was authorized to transport the mail. That's because brokers don't have to report who they hire or how they check those companies' safety records.
That's how it used to be. It's not like that no more. Let's continue. Like you try to make it seem like all companies is bad or everybody's doing something wrong, and that's not true. Or because Hope or I forgot the other company from that did the U-turn with the guy that did the U-turn in Florida. Not every company is doing that. They're not. And before all this, people ran illegal all the time. I've been in this industry for 25 years. You had less accidents. What you're not telling the truth. And that's what I hate about the news. Like they put this agenda. You're not telling the truth. You brought multiple people over here that's driving trucks that ain't supposed to be driving trucks. That's just the truth of it.
In the case of the Terrell crash, the Postal Service had contracted the route to a broker called Covenant. Covenant then subcontracted it to Hope Trans LLC.
Did the post office even know that Hope Trans was transporting their mail?
Not until after this wreck, I'll bet.
Is that a problem?
Very much so.
But it goes further. That same audit found the Postal Service did not track contractor accidents and fatalities. Had they done this, the auditor says the Postal Service would have found between 2018 and 2022 at least 373 accidents, resulting in 89 fatalities from 43 different contractors.
When is enough enough?
Okay. Is that a problem? Yes. It is. But when is enough, right? Let me see what she's going to say. I hate to stop like this. YouTube make people do it. Is it a problem? Yes. Is it okay what's going on? No. But I'm going to tell you the root of the problem of what's happening that wasn't happening before. I'm going to give you the root of the problem.
And when are they going to recognize that the problem lies with hiring these negligent companies?
Abigail and her brother Christian Godinez of Gillette, Wyoming, know the pain. In June 2022, a semi slammed into their family's SUV on I-25 near Denver. Their parents, along with their brother, his fiancée, and their 3-month-old daughter were all killed. According to the family's lawsuit, the trucking company had no insurance, the driver had no commercial license, and the truck's brakes were defective. The trucking company Lucky 22 Inc. was subcontracted to haul mail for the Postal Service. And like Hope Trans LLC, Lucky 22 had a history of safety issues. Lucky 22 has...
Lucky 22. Let me tell you what happened here with Lucky 22. Lucky 22 doesn't have the same insurance that we will have, okay? They will have commercial, but it'll be less than what we will have as $1 million policy, all right? Lucky 22, what happened here is that they would contract to another person and all that, but yet and still, they had a very bad record, but yet and still, they was able to run legally, because the federal government didn't put them out of service or they didn't go inspect them. See, what happens is you get audited. Just like you do in your taxes on your IRS, you get audited under your DOT numbers. Okay? So if you look at certain people DOT numbers, I'm not going to say who, but certain people DOT numbers, you will see that they had the same DOT numbers for the past 25 years. Never switched. Everything's on file. Everything's the way it's supposed to be. So the people that actually pass the inspections and do things right, they get audited more than the companies that do it the wrong way. They don't get audited like that. Why they didn't get audited? That's the question you need to ask. Why didn't the federal government shut them down, the federal motor carriers? Why didn't they shut them down? Why didn't they shut down the MC numbers, the motor carrier numbers? You can't pick up freight if your insurance is canceled. It automatically voids your DOT numbers. So you can blame the contractor that gave them the work. Yeah, you can. Don't get me wrong. You can blame the contractor that gave them the work. Why are you not blaming the weigh stations that's on I-25? You got a port of entry when you come from Colorado into Wyoming. They didn't know that they didn't have insurance. They didn't know that their numbers wasn't active anymore. In Denver, you get randomly stopped. In Denver. So nobody ever pulled them over and do a random DOT check? Nobody's going to blame the people that needs to be blamed? It's just like with the guy that was illegal. A lot of these guys that are illegal, that got their licenses, that's driving commercial vehicles, that ain't supposed to be driving commercial vehicles, nobody's going to blame the DMV. Nobody's going to blame the federal government that sits there and punch you up and does a NICS check when you go into a weigh station. Nobody's going to blame them. Blame the people that hired the driver. Blame the insurance company. Blame the contractor, but no accountability for the state or the federal government that allows this stuff. Nobody want to answer to that. You want to blame Covenant, right? Blame Covenant, whose contract. Blame the post office, but don't blame FMCSA. Who let this stuff go by? Who's supposed to do audits when you got bad numbers? Nobody want to blame them people. Let's continue. I'm sorry if I sound angry. I'm not angry. It's just annoying how they try to push this agenda like the post office is at fault or Covenant is at fault, when at the end of the day, you can't be on the road without insurance. You can't even pick up freight without insurance. Get pulled over in the weigh station and don't have the correct credentials and see what happens to you. And see what happens to you. Falsifying your logbooks and all that, you're going to prison. Okay? You should have been stopped this. Truck drivers been complaining about it. You had bonehead truckers, the Asian My Show. I don't know if Alex's thing is called Asian My Show. Mother truckers. These guys been talking about this stuff for years. Other truck drivers, other drivers that make YouTube videos and stuff like that, been talking about this for years. And nobody did nothing. Until now. And the same guys that was doing these videos, they the ones that got this stuff pushed the way it needs to be pushed. Nobody want to blame the ATA, though. Nobody want to blame the big motor carriers, right? You don't want to blame them. But you want to blame, well, Covenant is a big motor carrier, but you're trying to blame them for something that they had no control over. Okay? Blame it on who you need to blame it on.
Since shut down, and those behind the company haven't responded to our requests for comment.
To know that there's a family that's going through what we're going through, it's hard because that's what we want to prevent.
And my condolences to this family, because nobody should be going through that. My condolences to this family.
After their families crashed, the Godinezes wrote Congress asking for change, and lawmakers listened.
3 generations, Mr. Speaker, of that family lost their lives in one tragic incident.
In March, led by Virginia Congressman Gary Connolly, the House passed the Mail Traffic Death Reporting Act of 2025. It would require the Postal Service to track and report fatal crashes involving mail hauling trucks.
This is a long overdue bill that will save lives.
The bill passed the House with bipartisan support, but in the Senate, it's been sitting for 5 months. No hearing, no vote.
How many more is it going to take for them to realize that there is a problem that they need to fix, that needs to?
No disrespect to this young lady. It's not going to fix the problem. It's not. You got people not enforcing English proficiency. Okay? You have people here with non-domicile CDLs. You have people here that are opening companies that ain't supposed to open companies. That's where the problem is with the FMCSA. That's who needs to have, who needs a reality check. Not the post office and not nobody else. FMCSA. This industry went into the tank because you have multiple people coming here and underbidding and this and that. That's what's going on. What's going on is, just like Hope Trans, they buy MCs and all this stuff, and that should not happen. You can only have one MC, one DOT number under your name. Under your name. But they buy somebody else's and then use that one, and then buy somebody else's, then use that one, close this one down because them numbers is bad, and then move to this one. That's the issue. That's where you're running into an issue. FMCSA has to do more audits. FMCSA needs more resources. Not just inspection stations or weigh stations or DOT. That's a necessity, yes. But not as much as what they need in them offices. That's where you're running into the problem, where there's people switching numbers and stuff like that. And multiple people have been complaining about this for years. Nobody did nothing about it. It's certain YouTubers that were truck drivers were complaining about it, and that's why stuff started moving here and there, here and there, here and there.
Be fixed in order to save lives.
We reached out to all 15 senators on that committee that the bill was assigned. The staffs of all of them told us that they plan on reviewing the bill. But Nicole, no one could give us a clear answer as to why that hasn't happened yet. Congressman Gary Connolly, who led the push of the House, died in May, and without him, the bill lost its most visible supporter. So far, no one in the Senate has stepped up to sponsor the bill.
Yeah, that part of it is tough, Brian, for sure. But I am curious about the Postal Service. You know, have they had anything to say about that 2024 audit?
Yeah, they did. The Postal Service management said that they agree with all the recommendations. But when the audit was made public, none of those changes had been made. We also reached out to the Postal Service to ask if they were aware that Covenant had subcontracted that job out to Hope Trans LLC. The Postal Service issued us this written statement in response. Its contractors are required to comply with all state and federal laws. The Postal Service is aware of this accident, which is the subject of an ongoing investigation. We cannot comment further at this time. Nicole?
Something that may or may not impact all of us, but something we learned about tonight. We always learn a lot with you.
Sister, it's not going to impact you at all. Because if you was very highly concerned about this situation, like truly, like if y'all was being genuine about the situation, the post office, what about Amazon? What about Amazon? What about FedEx? Y'all want to leave those out? And all that? This is the problem that I got with the news. That they take a story and they fluff it and finesse it. This video been long enough. I said what I said. It is what it is. Peace and love. I'll catch you on the next one. But man, the phoniness on blaming it on the post office or blaming it on Covenant, but you don't want to blame who the real blame is, and it's FMCSA. I said what I said. Peace and love.